We're back. It's been a while.
It has been a while. I'm kind of worried about it.
Yeah, I wonder if we're like gonna be rusty and just out of sync and not be able to think of things to say. These are things I worry about.
Yeah, the chemistry's gone.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but there was a little bit of a pause there. That's bad airtime and bad hosting on my part, so I'm sorry. But we are happy to be back for I think this is episode 9 of the Kip and Chip Sports Podcast. Um, Apologizing for a little bit of break in programming. We had a couple things going on in our personal lives. Um, there was a time or two when we considered doing an emergency pod because there's been some big news that's come out since we all talked last. So, needless to say, we're pretty happy to be back here in the chairs, ready to go, ready to talk about the Packers. Um, yeah, it's good to be back. We're sorry for the long break. Uh, so we'll get started. Um, I don't I don't feel the need to introduce you, Sam, since you're a staple in the show, obviously. But
I would
we're gonna
prefer
get.
a comment. I would prefer a comment where you call me the illustrious Sam Sayer or something, but that's okay.
Maybe next time I host. I feel like you're fishing for it too much right now. Um, so I want to start, Sam. Do you want to recap what was going through your head and what you were thinking when we were together when we saw the news drop that Micah Parsons was going to be a Green Bay Packer?
Yeah, so that's part of the reason we haven't done a podcast about it is because the biggest reason we do this is for us to be able to talk about these all the sports news and stuff that's happening, and we were actually together when it dropped, which was really fun. But yeah, it was sheer shock because I think there was those rumors leading up to it a couple of days before. Kay Adams was kind of throwing her hat in there and mixing things up, kind of just as a Packers fan trying to get something going. But turns out that she is going to be getting a statue. There's going to be there's already been one fan that said if it happens, he's getting Kay Adams tattooed on his forearm, and he did it. And so, just wanted to shout out Kay really quick. Um, you're an amazing person for a lot of reasons, and we all love you. So thank you so much. But yeah, when that news finally broke, just sheer excitement, and I think it's one of these situations where we talked about it. Like, I'm a huge football fan, but basketball is my number one. And with basketball, like when the Dame trade happened, when stuff like that happens, you can go, oh my gosh, like that's an amazing trade. That's going to help them so much. But you still have that thought in the back of your mind, what if it's not cohesive? What if it doesn't work well? But with football, everyone just goes out there and does their thing. And so you can have a team full of superstars, and that team's going to get you far.
Hmm.
And so adding Micah Parsons to this team that's already, a quality playoff team, I think instantly makes them become a contender. And we talked about it. There's only a couple guys in the league that can really do that for you. Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett. We kind of mentioned Pat Surtain is another name in there, but I just think pass rush is so critical, and that's the Packers' biggest need was pass rush, and they addressed it with I think the best pass rusher in the world, and so incredible job by Gutekunst there, and I think we're going to talk about it later. Reasons we can't get too excited, but I don't think there's very many. I think we can just be elated in this moment and have a lot of hope for this season.
Yeah, yeah. I think you summed that up perfectly. That was a moment I'll never forget. I'll always remember where we were, what we thought. The first things we talked about after we heard about the trade. Um, I'll always remember that you couldn't tie your fly onto your line, so you had to have me come over and do it for you. And it was about 2 minutes after we learned about the trade, and my hands were shaking as I was trying to tie the knot for you.
Thanks for
So,
exposing me on the podcast.
I was about to say I'm giving you a hard time, but it was just because you couldn't see it because you didn't have your contacts in or something. But um, before we move on, I want to say one thing I've been thinking about with this trade is One of the other transactions I'll never forget who I was with, where I was when I first got the notification was, you already mentioned it, the Damian Lillard to the Bucks trade. And do you remember how we felt after that first game where Dame was on the Bucks when they played the Sixers on opening night and Dame just went nuts. I think he had like 36 points, scored clutch
Yeah.
buckets down the stretch, and they beat a really good Sixers team in a huge game. And it was like right from the jump, even though it had been kind of a last second trade, it was just everything we could have ever hoped for right from the start.
Hmm.
And as I was thinking about things with Parsons this week, I think that that's a really comparable situation where the Lions game, game one, I know Parsons was on a snap count, but man, everything went perfectly, and it was a huge win for the team.
Yeah, that was amazing. And that video you sent me yesterday of Nathan Marzion, the edit he had of the whole process of us acquiring Micah Parsons. If any of you guys listening to this haven't seen that video and want to get access to it, ask us because it's freaking cool. It gave me chills watching it. But I love all the comparisons during his sack of he's like a lion chasing a gazelle. Is just I don't know. Even if he didn't get that sack in that game, I would have been so excited about how he impacted the game for us. But
Yeah,
seeing him get his first sack, that was electric.
yeah. Have you ever heard the theory of you can tell how good a rookie player is going to be in their career based on how cool their first touchdown is?
Mm,
Have you ever heard people talk about that before? Because
I haven't, but
it's I think it's actually pretty interesting because if you look back at like Justin Jefferson's first career touchdown, he just toasts someone and then outruns the safety, catches a deep post and takes it for like a 60-yard bomb and had
yeah,
so much space before he crossed the goal line that he started grittying from like the 5 yard line. It was just like the swaggiest, coolest touchdown, first touchdown of all time. But then I saw someone clip Traylon Burks' first career NFL touchdown, and it was like Ryan Tannehill, I think it was, like rolled out to the right and went to throw and got strip sacked. But as his arm was coming forward, his elbow like hit the ball that he had just fumbled, and it scooted forward into the end zone. And Traylon Burks just fell on top of it and recovered a fumble for his first career touchdown. And so I was thinking about that this week, how like I'm excited to see what Matthew Golden's first career touchdown looks like, but also Micah Parsons' first career sack as a Packer. And I
yeah,
don't think there could have been any cooler way for it to happen where he squeezes through the double team and then just goes 0 to 60 like that. And everybody in the stadium, and it was so fun watching it on TV from that angle too, because you could see
yeah,
Goff's face. You knew he was turned away from him and couldn't see him. And the only thing that would have made it better is it looked like Goff was about to pull his arm out to throw, and Micah could have then maybe got the strip sack. But just the angle, just the play, and everything, and getting to see him track him down was so cool.
yeah. I was over at the Bicandy's house, so with a bunch of Bears fans who were very cordial during the game. I think they were excited to see the Lions lose, but I was going crazy. I mean, we're gonna talk about it later, but just thinking about the stats, they say when we got Micah Parsons, they all said, yeah, he's gonna get a lot of sacks, but he's also gonna make it easier on Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, the interior D line. He's gonna help the cornerbacks improve in coverage, all these things, and we saw that right from the jump. Parsons gets pressure. Evan Williams makes a sweet diving pick, which is on both of them. Like they both influence that play, of course. But then looking at Parsons gets his sack, Rashawn Gary gets 1.5 because he's not getting double teamed. Van Ness gets a half a sack and has 4 pressures. Like just seeing the impact right off the jump was awesome.
Hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. Um, Still can't believe it's real. It's been a week and a half, and it still doesn't feel like real life.
Yeah.
It's Yeah, I love living in this timeline right now. um, but just for a little table of contents on today's episode, um, we're gonna go. I think something we might do throughout the season is kind of stock up, stock down. After, every once in a while, after a big game, we want to talk about The thing is, there's not a lot of guys who would be stock downs after yesterday's game. And I'm not going to nitpick and go like find some guy who played average at best and talk about how he played bad. I really don't think there was anybody who played a straight up bad game. So we have two or three players each that are stock ups. We're going to talk about some guys we really liked in the game. And then after we do that, real quickly, I haven't felt this way as a Packers fan in a long time. Uh, and just to set the table, the reason I feel that way is for so many years, we knew with Rodgers that it was going to come down to the end and they were going to break our hearts. I just felt like it was a foregone conclusion that they were going to lose in the playoffs every single January. And when the Packers every once in a while looked like the best team in the regular season, we kind of held ourselves back from getting excited because we had a bad feeling it was going to end sadly. Um, the Jordan Love era is different. It's fresh. I feel like the vibe around the team feels very, very different from those Aaron Rodgers vibes a little bit. Uh, but then this is the first time in the Love era where they are truly going all in. And
Yeah.
that combination has me feeling in a way when I see the Packers ranked number one in certain power rankings. I'm like having a hard time not getting overly excited about this squad right now. So we're gonna do a quick exercise. We're gonna go position group by position group and try and talk ourselves out of it. We're gonna try and give ourselves reasons that we shouldn't let ourselves get too overly excited about the team and see if it's even possible. By the end of it, we're gonna come to a conclusion. Either okay, the Packers maybe are a year away, or strap in, hold on to your socks, and let's get ready to let ourselves be hurt again, basically. Um, so we're going to end off with that. But before we get started, I'll just react real quick. Christian Watson signed a 1 year extension. I think this is a deal that is a no-brainer for both sides. I think Brian Gutekunst is on an all-time heater right now. And we've talked a lot about the things that he's done in the last 3-4 years to put this team where they're at right now. This is another example. I think one of the things he's done lately is get value on players and contracts. He did it with Zach Tom, and we talked about it. And even since then, there's been, I think, 3 separate offensive tackles who have signed contracts that are more expensive than Zach Tom. And I think all 3 of those players are worse players than Zach Tom. And we saw it with the Micah Parsons trade. Like, he did not give up as much as people thought he would have needed to get Micah. And he does it again here. Jameson Williams signed 2 days before Christian Watson for like $24 million a year. And Goody gets Watson at $13 million. And I know he's hurt, but there's not a $10 million difference between Jameson Williams and Christian Watson in my mind. So I think it's a wonderful contract. Yeah, go ahead.
And I saw a bunch of stats. I'm sure you saw the same ones of comparing Christian Watson and Jameson Williams. And I believe they came into the league at the same year. And Watson, surprisingly, has played more games than Jameson Williams. And has had better stats slightly. And so, obviously, last year was the best season that either of them have had for Jameson Williams, having over 1,000 yards. But, yeah, I think he deserves a little bit more money than Christian Watson, but that $10, $11 million difference feels really good to have him back on that small contract.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing that makes me sad is Romeo Doubs at this point. Romeo knows that this is his last year in Green Bay, and I worry a little bit about how he's going to handle that. I hope all goes well, but keep in mind, like, Goody is a guy that loves his draft picks, and he's traded away quite a few of them in the last month. If there's a team out there that is desperate and needs a really good receiver, who Romeo Doubs is, and is offering multiple picks to Brian Gutekunst, I would not be surprised. I'd be sad, but I would not be surprised to see that happen. So that's the only thing that worries me, but the idea of guaranteeing ourselves at least a full season of Golden, Watson, and Jaden Reed all together in 11 personnel next year, that's going to be absolutely lethal, especially with Wicks and Savion out there too. Like, I think it's a great deal. Yeah, so with that, let's move on to this game. This was an incredible win. I think one of the most more like they just needed this, and they came out and they kicked ass the entire time. Um, a lot of guys were really excited to talk about, but I'm gonna let you get started, Sam. Who's your first guy you want to go stock up on after week one?
Yeah, so the first guy I want to talk about is Sean Ryan. He's our right guard. He was rotating with Jordan Morgan, which he's been doing for a couple years now. Uh, and man, I love Jordan Morgan. Obviously, in preseason, he was fantastic. In the snaps that he got in this game, he graded out very well, similar to Sean Ryan. But I just feel like Sean Ryan's too good to be rotating him. And so maybe go rotate Jordan Morgan with Rasheed Walker or something like that. But Sean Ryan, before I get into some of the nice plays he had, I'm just going to read you his PFF score, which was very good. Let me pull up. Okay. Sean Ryan, in 33 snaps, as a pass blocker, had a grade of 84.2,
Wow.
which is, oh shoot, I closed it, but I think it was sixth best in the league through 1 week, obviously. But
Uh-huh.
84.2 pass block grade, by far the highest on the team, followed by 67.6 in run blocking. So overall grade of 73.3 and 33 snaps. And Jordan Morgan, the guy he was rotating with in 20 snaps, had a 73.5, but he was a better run blocker than Ryan was. And so both those guys graded very well. They were the highest graded offensive linemen for the Packers in this game. But beyond the ratings, there was two plays in particular that Sean Ryan looked really nice, and one of them was on Josh Jacobs' touchdown run in the third. Was it the third quarter? Um,
I think it was the fourth.
but I think you're right. It was the fourth. The third we didn't score. But in the fourth quarter, he had a sweet block, and I'm not good at describing these plays, but pretty much he mauled the dude and created a huge lane for Jacobs to sneak right in. And so um, he had a really nice play there. And then there was a pass blocking, I'm trying to remember who it ended up to. I think it was the third play of the game on that first third down where Love hit Dobbs going across the middle to the left side
Yeah.
for that first down, and
Yeah.
the crowd went crazy getting that first down. And Romeo Dobbs makes the catch, steps out of bounds, and just starts going crazy. And it was like a 15-yard catch, and he's just going nuts. He was so excited. So that made me happy. But on that play, Sean Ryan had a fantastic block where that whole first drive, the Packers pass rush looked amazing, where it just felt like every third down Love had 8 seconds back there to get the ball off. But
Yeah.
especially Sean Ryan had his dude on an island, and it kind of looked like a U shape was forming around Love. The tackles were kind of giving in, the pass rush was
Hmm.
getting in there. Jenkins was holding his own, Banks was kind of falling back a little bit, but then Sean Ryan just out there pushing his dude 3 yards up the field. So there were a few plays like that where Ryan just looked like the best lineman on the team, and so I just wanted to shout him out. And I was proud of the offensive line as a whole, but looking at the ratings, Elton Jenkins, he had a pass block rating of 35.1, and then Aaron Banks with a run block score of 40.5. So those two struggled according to the scores, but I don't know. Watching them, it didn't feel that bad, but I did think that Sean Ryan was the best of the group.
Yeah. I love that pick by you because he's a guy who's going to play good football all year, but is just going to be perpetually under discussed. So I love that
Yeah.
you bring him up here as our first stock up of the entire regular season. Yeah, I love it. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Um, I had wanted to talk about these players separately. Had wanted to talk about both Rashawn Gary and Devontae Wyatt. I'm gonna kind of just do it together. Uh, Starting with Gary, I think he, for the last couple of years, has had to be our 1A pass rusher, and I don't think
Yeah.
he is that. I've always felt like he has potential to be the world's best 1B. You know, um, he's like you're gonna see it this year with Jalen Brown with the Celtics. Now that Jason Tatum's out for the season, I mean, Brown's probably going to score a lot more points than he has in the past, but the efficiency's not going to be there. He's going to struggle in a way that he's just the best defender is going to be on him this season. And it reminds me
Yeah.
too. Another example would be picture Dwayne Wade when LeBron and Chris Bosh went there, and now all
Yeah.
of a sudden you have these other guys distracting attention away from you, and Wade had, by efficiency metrics, would have had the best seasons of his career by far. Um,
Mhm.
and that's how I feel with Rashawn Gary and Devontae Wyatt as well. Gary's best seasons to me came when Kenny Clark, Preston Smith, and Zadarius Smith were legit threats all around him,
Yeah.
and he kind of just got to feed off that. And now Micah Parsons is a threat bigger than those three guys in their primes all combined. And there's other players around him that, I mean, the pass rush was going to be better this season, even if Parsons hadn't have been here. But
Yeah.
there was a play. Um, it was Lucas Van Ness and Parsons were on the edges. Devontae Wyatt and Carl Brooks were on the interior. Um, and the Packers just rushed those four, and the Lions tried to block it with five. No, that's not true. They blocked it with six, so they kept a tight end in on the right side. So at the snap, Parsons had to go up against a tight end and the right tackle. For some reason, they chose to double team with the center and the left guard on Carl Brooks, and Van Ness had a one-on-one on the left tackle. And Van Ness had a good bull rush. He didn't really get a real pressure, but it was still a good rep. Parsons and Brooks kind of got washed out by their double teams, and Devontae Wyatt was one-on-one with the right guard, and he absolutely mauled him. He was kind of on his inside shoulder, and he hit him so hard, kind of from a 45-degree angle, that the right guard was like bouncing on one foot, and he got so far out to the right that he was outside Micah Parsons and the right tackle on the tight end. He just drove the guard all the way out there and then just swiped him to the side and was right there to hit Goff. And Goff got it out quick for a short gain. But that's like the type of play that Wyatt would have never gotten in the past because
Yeah.
he's just not getting that matchup. And there's another play I want to talk about later that highlighted to me kind of more what it looked like last year. But those are the type of plays that Gary and Wyatt just aren't getting. And you saw right from the jump, they're producing at a much, much higher level in those situations than the situations they were in last year.
Totally. Yeah, I like those picks a lot. And Rashawn Gary is one of the coolest Packers we've ever had. Bane Gary,
Yeah.
just to see him go nuts this year is going to be one of the funnest parts about the Micah Parsons trade, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's hear your next one.
Okay. Man, this guy made me so happy in this game. We knew it coming in. He was going to be elite just from what we saw last year. And the media has given him so much love during the offseason for how he played last year as a rookie. But I want to talk about Adrian Cooper. Cowboy Coop. Cowboy Coop showing up with that outfit, walking into the tunnel. I saw that and was like, okay. Here comes another beast game from him. But I love that guy so much, and he made his presence felt so quickly in the run game. I think the only bad play he had that was actually still a great play, the only time he looked human, what I mean to say, is it was earlier in the game. He had already made a couple nice run stops, and then they ran something in the backfield with Jamison Williams. And so Cooper he is in pursuit trying to get him in the backfield and didn't realize how quick Jamison Williams is, and he kind of stepped over him and was able to pick up a couple yards. But Cooper almost had like a 6-yard loss. I don't know if you can remember that play. But
I think so, yeah.
other than that one play, that dude was just flying around everywhere. And there were a few plays he didn't finish. You know, he got in the backfield really quick, almost a little too quick, where he wasn't quite in front of the running back. Couldn't get him down. And then the best part of the whole game was watching every Packers defender flock to the ball.
Mhm.
Everyone was playing. I mean, John Gruden was talking about it. I don't know if you saw him, but he's been hyping up the Packers recently, and he's talking about how that's how the Lions usually have played. That's what's made them so good in the past couple of years is they have that fire and tenacity but that's what the Packers played at this time. Just everyone
Hmm.
was playing like they were going to get paid. And so that was fun to see, but I think Adrian Cooper is the catalyst of that, where he just plays so fast and with just such a mean streak that it kind of excites
Totally.
everyone around them and gets them to act like that too. And so even when he gets in the backfield and kind of misses, you see him come back to the end of the play, and he's there when it finishes. And so I just love his
Always there.
speed and tenacity and in coverage. Let me see how he graded. Um, in coverage, he was all right. He was a 72. Uh, he actually graded better in coverage than he did against the run, but I think a lot of the completions were made over the middle of the field in this game, and it felt like anytime Laporta had a catch or St. Brown across the middle, Cooper was the first guy there too, and immediately just met him as a wall. So I really liked watching him. He had me giddy just watching him run across the field, and then Quay Walker too had some mental mistakes, but he was there too. He's flying around, and I just really like having those two rangy linebackers.
Yeah, yeah, I'm totally with you. I it's something that Packers fans will remember from 2020 is those Buccaneers linebackers that just torched us in that NFC Championship game. I think Cooper and Quay can be every bit as good as what Levante and Devin White were that season.
Mm-hmm.
And they were really good that season, but these two guys we have in Green Bay right now are special. And let's do our best to enjoy it because there's no guarantee that Quay's going to be here next year with how well he started this season. But
Yeah,
it's exciting. It really is.
yeah.
Um, I'm going to move on to my next stock up, which is Matthew Golden and the entire wide receiver room's ability to beat man coverage. Because last year, when the Packers played the Lions, they struggled, and even worse against the Vikings. Those teams just they blitzed and they played man coverage. And what did the Lions try and do to start the season? Their new defensive coordinator was basically just playing Aaron Glenn's greatest hits. The first half consistently blitzed, especially up the interior, and consistently played man coverage, oftentimes single high man coverage. And the Packers torched it in a way that they never were able to last year. I thought Golden had a couple routes um, that were exciting. He didn't get the ball thrown to him on either of them, but there was a route. It was on the play that Tucker Kraft caught that crazy touchdown on, where Golden he was being guarded one on one, and he kind of ran an in route, um, and kind of gathered the safety on the deep right half, and then ran a hard double move back out to the corner, and just left them both in the dust. Beat two guys on that cut. And if he wouldn't have already thrown the ball to Kraft, I honestly think I could have made that throw out to Golden. He was about to be so wide open. So, I mean, you saw it with Dobbs too on that first third down, and then also on the deep post. Wicks had a couple inbreakers that he just torched man coverage in the first half. Reed had that touchdown out to the right. I know that was a little bit of a LaFleur special on the play design. But then you also saw it with Love being willing to fit it into windows and give his guys chances. The accuracy that Love showed is really, really key to being able to beat man coverage. And I just thought Love, all the receivers, even Tucker Kraft, the tight end, I mean, they were so much better against man on Sunday than they ever were last year. And I mean, they put up
Yeah.
17 so easily in the first half because of it.
Can we talk about the play real quick where Golden had his first career catch? And this was largely because the offensive line had such a great rep. But the play where Love sees Golden across the middle and is about to throw it, pump fakes, gets Anzalotti to bite, and then still has time to swing it over to the left to Golden. That pump fake by Love was sweet because that definitely would
Yeah.
have been a pick if he wouldn't have done that. But obviously, such a good route. Um, I don't know. I just wanted to bring up that play, but you can keep going.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. That one wasn't necessarily, that was more of a coverage bust why he got so open in the first place.
Yeah,
But the pass protection being so good is the only reason Love was able to sit there and wait for him to run all the way across the field.
Yeah.
And it was cool too because they showed it on the TV copy right after the play. Remember?
Yeah.
Like the replay, you got to see Love watching and waiting for him to cross Anzalone so he could throw. It was really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I'm excited about Golden receivers and I think the future's bright.
You want to know who else I'm excited about in that same conversation?
Who?
Chris Brooks. Him and Josh Jacobs had some huge pass protection snaps too.
Yeah.
Where it was like a D tackle running at Chris Brooks and he just absorbed him. And so having that guy is going to be pretty key. And I think there's a lot of teams out there that don't really think about having that type of run or pass blocking specialist as a running back, and just always keep putting their best players out there. But I think he's going to be out there on most third downs, and that's important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wonder if Lloyd is going to have a little bit of a hard time getting consistent snaps coming back.
Yeah.
There's a potential. Yeah. Okay. Let's hear your next one.
Okay. My last one was Evan Williams. He's a guy that we talked about this before on prior podcasts, but he's a guy that when he got drafted, we kind of just said, oh, yeah, this guy's going to be good for no reason. He just kind of seemed like that kind of guy. Had a great rookie season, and he bounces back with probably the best game of his career. That interception was so nice.
Yeah, it was. It was so good.
Yeah, I didn't get to see many angles of it. I can't remember exactly. I didn't watch exactly how he reacted on the play to the route ran or whatever, but just seeing him jump on that ball and be able to pull it in was so impressive. And I saw that passer rating allowed for the whole secondary. We saw Bullard and Nixon really struggle. They allowed a very high passer rating. They never got torched, but they had, over the course of the game, a lot of yards got racked up against those two. McKinney didn't do great. Valentine actually graded pretty good in terms of coverage, but Evan Williams allowed a passer rating of 2.8, and so he was elite in pass coverage. Looking at his grade, he was the highest graded Packer in this game with a grade of 90.5, a coverage grade of 86.8. I didn't look what this is in terms of the league where he ranks, but really, really good in coverage. I mean, other than the interception, did you really ever hear his name called? That's always a good thing. Same thing with Valentine. I think he held his own very well, but Evan Williams, I really liked him in the run game last year. I think he's a pretty sure tackler and seems to always be in the right spot. So that part of his game is exciting, but seeing his coverage continue to take a leap and make that sweet interception, I had to call out his name.
Yeah, I love it. My favorite thing from him in the game, other than the pick, is just he's a good example of how much they're all flying to the football and rallying to tackle together. And I think we talked about Edgerrin Cooper and Quay earlier, how they take a lot of chances sometimes. And I think having guys like Williams and McKinney behind, knowing that, if I run and try and make this TFL and I just barely miss it, Evan Williams and Javon Bullard and McKinney and Valentine are all going to be right behind me in a split second.
Yeah.
And I mean, you saw number 33 flying towards the end of the play over and over and over. I mean, that guy, his specialty is pass coverage, but he plays physical in every facet of the game, and he's the right type of guy you want playing in an important position on this defense.
Yeah, and that shows it goes beyond the stats, beyond these ratings I keep spitting off. It's just kind of a helpful way to look at how well they might have played. But Javon Bullard continues to grade really poorly. According to PFF, he had a really bad game, was really bad all of last year. But I think, to your point, him and Evan Williams, all these guys just have a great motor. And even if they aren't exactly where they need to be, I'm really excited about those two as future Packers for a while. So I hope Bullard continues to improve, but Evan Williams being the best from that rookie class is pretty fun.
Yeah, I agree. I can't say I didn't call it, right? Oh, yeah. Okay, my last guy I'm really high on after Sunday, I did not expect to be talking about, but I'm going to talk about Carrington Valentine. And I've been thinking about the corners ever since Micah Parsons made that comment. Did you hear him talking about how he's never played a full season and not had an All Pro or Pro Bowl corner behind him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you watch the defense on the All 22 this week or throughout the course of the season, I want you to pause it when the quarterback gets to the back of their drop and then look at all the players in the secondary at their heads, and they are all looking at the quarterback. Halfley likes to call it, I think he calls it a vision match coverage, but basically they're guarding their receiver or their zone, but they're also keeping their eyes on the quarterback so that they can break on passes and that they can rally. Another thing it does is it takes away the quarterback run game because they're not playing man coverage with their head turned and they can see you when the quarterback starts to take off. So these zones that they're playing are so much more aggressive, at least through 1 week. And especially the short layer of the zones, they play pretty tight. It's not this Joe Barry backing off type stuff anymore. You still have, I know, obviously if you're playing cover 3, you still have the 3 deep zones, but these 4 guys up front, they're up there and they're defending the short passes because they know they don't have to defend for as long anymore. When you think about guys that have had success playing with Micah Parsons, 2 of the guys that come to mind are Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland. Corners out there in Dallas who like to sit back, watch the quarterback, and attack the first move. They jump passes all the time. Yes, they're susceptible to getting beat by a double move from time to time, but if you have Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence and those guys rushing the passer in front of you like they did, it's not going to happen super often. So when I'm thinking of an uber aggressive corner that is going to play with supreme confidence, that even on Sunday showed, propensity to play a more aggressive style of zone defense than what I feel like I've seen from him in the past, I think there's a chance Carrington Valentine is the guy that Micah Parsons is talking to, trying to say, you can be the next Trayvon Diggs, you can be the next Deron Bland. And he's been really good, really underappreciated. I will say if Carrington Valentine had been a second-round pick instead of a seventh-round pick, he would have been the opening day starter each of the last 2 seasons, this year included. But because he's a seventh-round pick, he has to continually earn it in a way that most other guys just don't have to. And I think there's a chance he's going to be the best corner on the team this year, and that aggressive mentality is going to serve him really well.
I just can't wait for the interviews after he has a game where he has a couple picks too. And he's just going to be like, oh, yeah. He's gonna be like the Javon Carter. He'd be like, so how'd you know you were going to bring it today? When I woke up.
Yeah,
Such a goofy guy, but
he's my favorite on all the Packers social media videos. He's just such a weird person, it seems like.
yeah.
But I'm really excited about him. Oh,
maybe it's good for him. Go ahead.
While we talk about him, there was one other play I wanted to talk about earlier. When I was watching, there was a play where they subbed in the front 4 was Brenton Cox and Kingsley Enagbare as the DNs, and then Carl Brooks and Devontae Wyatt on the inside. And the Lions protected it with a 5-man protection. They doubled Devontae Wyatt because they saw him as the only threat, and they took him out of the play with a double team. Brenton Cox and Kingsley Enagbare went one-on-one with the tackles and had no success. Carl Brooks went one-on-one with the other guard, and he kind of won, but it took him probably 4 seconds to get there. So Goff got to sit back there, and it looked exactly like what we saw Goff do against us all last season. And St. Brown got to run some deep out where he kind of got behind. It was actually McDuffie and Nixon that were involved on the play in coverage, and caught a pass on the sideline. It actually ended up being that kind of deeper route that LaFleur ended up challenging, but it got upheld as a Lions catch. But that's just the type of thing that they're not going to have to defend very often, maybe more than 4 or 5 times a game this season. And it just really excites me. Remember how many times we used to complain about how the linebackers could never get enough depth? And there was always a huge gap between the linebackers and the safeties, and it led to a ton
Yeah.
of intermediate passes over the middle being completed. There's just it's just not going to happen. I mean, they're not going to have enough time to run 15-yard crossing routes over the middle when Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, Micah Parsons, and Devontae Wyatt are all going after him.
Yeah.
The zones just look so different this year to me, and there's one reason for that, and it's Micah Parsons.
Last thing on Valentine. It sucks he has a touchdown against his record this year on that stupid Isaac Tesla catch. But even
Yeah.
that was good coverage.
That was a sweet play, but I still don't really think that was a catch. I thought he kind of lost control in his right hand as he was coming down. But
Yeah. We'll give it to him.
who cares? Yeah.
But
Mercy
maybe
rule.
hopefully Isaac Tesla isn't just an elite receiver all of a sudden because he had a cool touchdown to start his career.
Yeah, shoot. He probably will be now that I say that.
Yeah.
All right.
He'll still be more
Okay, so-
likable than St. Brown.
Yeah, oh man, I hate that guy. I hope he's having a horrible week. um, all right, so this is the part I've kind of been excited about. We're going to try and talk ourselves out of our Packers excitement. I have a feeling that as we do this, we're going to more so talk ourselves into more Packers excitement. But let's get started. We're going to go position group by position group. We're not going to go depth really. I just want to talk about the starters and kind of the question we're going to be asking with each of these groups are they Super Bowl caliber at this position? So I'm going to start, and we're going to talk about these together, but let's start with the offensive line. I mean, you talked about Sean Ryan already. Yeah, I think there was a chance that Sean Ryan was going to be our fifth best starting offensive lineman, and you just talked up how much you love him. And that guy's in a contract year. He's ready to go. We love Zach Tom. We love Elton Jenkins. I think Aaron Banks is a good player. I still think he's overpaid. I continue to feel that Rasheed Walker is the sixth best offensive lineman, and that we'd be better off with Jordan Morgan at left tackle. But you're right. Maybe Sean Ryan plays so well that they start rotating Morgan out there at left tackle, and he gets a chance because it's clear they want Morgan on the field too. But when we talk about the offensive line as a whole, I feel like the answer is yes, they are Super Bowl caliber.
Yeah, and I think you don't have to have an elite offensive line to be in the Super Bowl, but I think they have the potential to be elite, and they're
Yeah.
good enough for sure to keep
Yeah.
Love upright and healthy. But I saw someone tweet today because it's kind of looking like it might be no Tom and possibly no Banks this week against the Commanders. And someone posted, well, if that's the case, then we have Rasheed Walker at left, probably Jordan Morgan at left guard, Jenkins, Ryan, right tackle probably Darian Kennard, who was pretty good in his limited snaps he played. And then,
Yeah.
oh shoot, if he's not good, we have Belton to rotate in. So people are like, that still looks pretty good to me.
Yeah.
And so they have good depth on top of their good starters.
Yeah. Yeah, I also think it's important to notice there might not be another coach in the league who's better at setting their offensive line up for success than LaFleur. The way he utilizes backs and protection, two tight end sets, even receivers blocking, big time blocking in the run game. Like, you're just not going to be left on an island as a Packers offensive lineman the way you might be with other teams.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. Especially if we get Walker out there and it's Morgan, Ryan, Jenkins, Banks, Zach Tom is the worst player, it's either probably Aaron Banks or Sean Ryan. If that's your fifth best offensive lineman, that's really damn good. And I really, really like that.
Yep. So true.
Yeah. Okay, Sam. Let's go quarterback. Jordan Love. Do you think he's Super Bowl caliber?
I'm so borderline on this, but I think Jordan Love last year, probably not.
Hmm. Okay.
But then we've seen teams elevated by defense, by offensive line, by running game make it to the playoffs, and I think or to the Super Bowl. And we've seen teams recently in the Super Bowl with a worse quarterback than Jordan Love.
Yeah.
But Love, he had 3 moments in the game that were typical Jordan Love, despite all the other amazing accurate plays. The first one was like his second throw of the game to Tucker Kraft, had him on a seam up the middle. It was kind of like a last second try to get it out before getting hit, and he airmailed it over Tucker Kraft's head. And so we started out kind of with that, and I was like, oh gosh, here we go again. But then he was perfect ever since then. And then he had, I mean, I can't say perfect ever since then because he had 2 other plays. That one that should have been picked by Anzalone. And I was immediately like, oh, okay.
That was
That was
weird.
a close call. That could have been a bad pick. That kind of looked like he might have gotten a hit as he threw it, but then right after that, I said, okay, well at least we got that out of the way. Very next play, throws a pick six with the questionable holding call and that weird penalty from Hutchinson roughing the passer. But I think he still had some Jordan Love moments. So if I was going to grade him, I'd probably give him a B plus and A minus just because of those few plays, but. Had some incredible throws. That drive with the 2-play touchdown, hitting Dobbs and then Reed. No one could have done it any better on those plays. So I think he's good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. As you were talking, I was agreeing with everything you said. I feel like he's good enough to be a Super Bowl quarterback in the NFC. I wouldn't have any worries about him holding the Packers back going through the NFC playoffs. But maybe once you get to the Super Bowl and your opponent is going to be Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I mean, watching that Sunday night game, that was crazy. Watching Lamar and Josh Allen just go shot for shot against each other. Those guys are on a different planet than anybody else in the world right now. And that's nothing against Jordan Love. It's just those two guys. And like we haven't seen it from Mahomes in a while, but you can't. I mean, he could turn it on at any moment. But those two guys right now are just in a different world. So if the Packers played the Ravens in the Super Bowl, I wouldn't really feel great about Love's chances of going blow for blow with Lamar. But still,
I
I'm
hate to say
I'm
this,
with you.
but if we play the Ravens in the Super Bowl, whoever's matching up against Jair is going to have 180 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, yeah, that was sad. That was really, really
Yeah.
sad. He was getting sauced up by Keon Coleman, who's famous for never getting open but just being able to catch contested passes. But he was like 15 yards of open space between him and Jair multiple times in that fourth quarter.
Yeah. It was kind of hard to watch.
Yeah, it was. Okay, so I guess final assessment of the quarterbacks is they're probably, good enough to win, but they might not be the number one engine driving the bus to the Super Bowl is kind of how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So,
I think we'd be riding the defense.
yeah, let's talk about skill positions as a whole. So if we think, Jacobs, Kraft, Golden, Dobbs, Watson would be healthy by the playoffs, Wicks, Reed, those are the main guys. I think the skill positions are clicking in a way that we haven't seen before. I've seen a lot of people in the past kind of compare the Packers let's take the wide receivers for example. I've seen a lot of people compare them to a wide receiver group like what they have in Indianapolis with the Colts, where they kind of have like a smattering of good players. Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, A.D. Mitchell, Josh Downs, like those are all guys I like, but none of them are really great. I think there's a chance that some of these Packers players break out in a way and become great in a way that those guys in Indianapolis just don't have. And
Yeah.
I think there's a really high ceiling, and they've got to be able to get close to it this year, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's so hard because if you even think about the NFC North, you say who's got the best receivers, there's an argument that the Packers have the fourth best receivers in even their own division.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, the sheer amount we have of actual quality contributors, that it's not like they can just double team our best player. They can't double team our Devontae and then have to let Geronimo Allison try to get open, stuff like that anymore. So, oh man, I'm a little worried about Jaden Reed with his injury.
Hmm.
And I honestly don't think Jaden Reed's our best receiver at this point. I think
Yeah.
Dobbs is our best receiver as it currently stands. I'm high on Wicks, but I mean, he couldn't even catch the ball last year, and so I'm a little bit hesitant on this one. I think we just have enough in terms of depth, and we're really riding on Golden
Uh-huh.
to actually get snaps and be able to be a quality contributor. But I think they're good enough, just once again because of the defense, because they're so balanced and strong at every position. I don't think they need to be elite, but I think they do concern me a little bit.
Yeah. I feel really similar to that. And when you were talking about the NFC North, I was thinking if you had to rank the best receivers in the division, it's Justin Jefferson, and then it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then to me, I think it's a tier break. And then in the past, I would have said it's Jordan Addison, it's DJ Moore, and then there's another tier break, and then it's all of the Packers guys mixed in with like Jameson Williams and Roma Dunze or Keenan Allen last year.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a good chance that a guy like Matthew Golden or a guy like Romeo Dobbs or Christian Watson jumps up a tier so that by the end of this season we're saying it's Justin Jefferson and St. Brown and then a tier break and then it's Addison, Odunze, Watson, Golden all together.
Yeah, I can
And
see that.
I don't know if that's good enough to really win in the playoffs because it's probably not because most teams in the playoffs have, big name guys or they have an all-world quarterback who kind of raises the floor. But the Packers are trying a new recipe for success where they just have so many of those guys that you can't key in on one of them. It's a unique situation, and I'm with you. It's hard to say I feel great about it, but we don't know if it's going to work because we've never really seen it before from any other team.
Yeah, and the casual fan will look at our roster and say, okay, who are their receivers? Okay, who is their secondary? This team's
Hmm.
not a contender, but the people that know the Packers know they've got so many quality contributors that are scary. So,
Yeah.
and I think the biggest thing is we have LaFleur. His play calling ability to maximize all his players is what's going to make us be able to get to that point.
I'm totally with you. He's the most Super Bowl caliber part of the entire offense to me.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, let's move on to the defense then. So let's go the whole D line as a whole. How are you feeling?
Really good. um, Colby Wooden's good enough.
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
good enough. I think he's already a better contributor than Slayton was. He's probably better than Kenny Clark was last year, or as good as. I don't know. That might be crazy. I probably wouldn't say that, but Devontae Wyatt looks like he's going to be breaking out. Van Ness is breaking out. We've already talked
Yeah.
about this. The other guys are benefiting from Micah Parsons. Um, yeah, I feel really good, and I'm just going to keep holding out hope that that Brooks and Wooden can stay healthy, and we don't have to really mess with Brinson or Stackhouse. That's a concern of mine. I'm sure they might be good players, but we're really an injury away from being in real trouble with that interior defensive line. But I think if
Mhm.
they're all healthy, they're good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, if there's an injury, there's a trade, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Um, so I just want to say this again because we had talked about this in the past outside of this show. But last year, after that Eagles game, when Jalen Hurts had all day to sit back there and throw and just tear us apart, we were terrified because we had been so excited about, oh, Devontae Wyatt's finally going to make the jump. Rashawn Gary's got a full offseason coming off his ACL. He'll be healthy. He'll be ready to go. He'll be so much better this year. Van Ness is in his second season. He'll take a step forward. Carl Brooks was really good as a rookie. He'll take a step forward. And then they just didn't. And we blamed it all on that crappy turf in Philadelphia that they couldn't get any pass rush. And Jalen Hurts had all day. Um, and then even once they got back on normal turf or better field at Lambeau, it just never changed. They just never really had much of a pass rush. And it sucked. And it was the thing that plagued their season all year long. And now, fast forward 1 year, where post week one, Devontae Wyatt had 6 pressures. Carl Brooks looked great. You're talking about Colby Wooden like he's already as good as Kenny Clark was, and I'm not telling you you're crazy. Van Ness had the best game of his career. Rashawn Gary had a sack and a half. Oh, and you also have Micah Parsons tied into the mix. Like the defensive line, I think is the most, even more than the floor, the most Super Bowl caliber part of this team. And I wouldn't even rule out the fact that they might go sign someone else too for added depth in the defensive tackle room as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm excited.
Pretty scary. Yeah, I'm pretty psyched about that D line. Are we
Yeah,
talking
me too.
linebackers?
Yeah, and this is fun because I think this is equally as Super Bowl caliber as the defensive line is. These guys are so freaking good right now. And when I was watching tape on this last game, the thing that stuck out to me the most that is exciting to me is I feel like you almost can't run duo at these linebackers anymore. So for those of you that don't know, duo is a run scheme where the offensive line will double team each of the defensive tackles, and they'll double team those defensive tackles really hard for the first second or two of the snap, and they'll try and get a good push on those guys, and then one of the offensive linemen will peel off of each of those double teams after those defensive tackles have been washed out of the play pretty much, and try and climb up and get the linebacker. So they're basically hitting the defensive tackles and then moving on to the linebackers. And these guys are so fast at tracking the ball downhill that you almost can't do that anymore. If you want any chance of getting your hands on Quay Walker or Edgerrin Cooper, you can't pretend like you're going to be able to take your slow, fat offensive guard, have him block a defensive tackle for a split second, and then transition and go get Cooper. He's just going to go past the offensive guard. You just can't really. The Lions did it successfully a couple times, but I feel like these guys are so sudden and attack so quickly and react so fast that you just can't do it because they're going to get past the guard, and they're so agile in space. These offensive linemen are just overmatched trying to get their hands on them. It's exciting to watch.
Yeah, it really is. There were some plays on the All 22 I watched where Cooper has a guard coming at him and literally just like jukes his way around him, and he
Yeah.
completely anticipated where Gibbs was gonna go on like 3 different ones where there was a guard in front of Gibbs coming right at Cooper, and he just completely mirrors him, dodges the guard, makes the tackle. It's crazy how quick he is and how smart he is. One thing I was thinking about is I feel really good about Cooper. I feel pretty good about Quay Walker, but it's that third guy, especially if they're playing a 4-3. Is it
Mm-hmm.
McDuffie? Is it Hopper? I don't really like either of those guys right now. But I was looking at the snap count. For Edgerrin Cooper, he played 67 snaps, which there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that played all 67 snaps, being Cooper, Valentine, Keyshawn Nixon, Quay Walker, and McKinney. So
Okay.
Quay and Cooper were out there for every play. This is the
Okay.
crazy part. McDuffie was our third inside linebacker. He only
Yeah.
played 18 snaps. Hopper played 1 snap. So they're running a lot of nickel, having Bullard come in and play linebacker. So Bullard, for example, of the 67 snaps, played 59. So he was out there a lot. Evan Williams played 56. McKinney, as I mentioned, played 67. So they're running a lot of 3 safety sets. And I like that a lot. Having Bullard be kind of our third linebacker, especially once Hobbs comes back, Hobbs is going to settle in the slot, I would guess, and that would allow Bullard to be more of that hybrid role. That gets me excited. So the less snaps we have to give to McDuffie and Hopper makes me feel pretty solid about this group.
Hmm. You know what else would make me feel pretty okay about the group is if that third linebacker was Michael Parsons.
Did you notice if he played off ball at all?
No, I don't think he did at all. I feel like it's too. He's only been there for 8 days or whatever. It was probably just too soon to put those packages in for him.
Yeah.
But that will happen, and I also feel strongly that Hopper is going to get more and more snaps, and I think we're going to see not very much McDuffie by the end of the year.
Yeah. But yeah, think about this set. In a standard 4-3, you picture our off-ball linebackers, Quay, Coop, and Micah Parsons. Across the front, Gary, Wooden, Wyatt, Van Ness.
Yeah, that's pretty
And then
sweet.
Yeah, two stud safeties and Valentine and Nixon. Woo!
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's exciting. And I feel like the linebackers, in the same vein as the defensive line, is just a clear cut. They're Super Bowl caliber to me.
Yeah.
So moving on to the secondary, we're kind of up against the clock here. We got to wrap up. I think that Packers fans don't do enough to appreciate Xavier McKinney. And I want to say that Xavier McKinney is every bit as versatile and every bit as impressive as Micah Parsons is as a player. We always talk about how Parsons plays over the guard, plays over the center, plays over the edge, plays out at the wide 9 alignment, can play off ball, can drop into coverage if you need him to. And we as fans see all that because that's what the TV copy shows on Sundays. McKinney, man, you don't see it because he's backed off the ball quite a lot, and sometimes he doesn't show up on the TV. That guy, does so much. If you watch the All-22, you'll see sometimes he's playing linebacker in the 4-3. He'll just step up and play linebacker. Then 2 plays later, he'll be playing wide out at corner. And then he'll be playing strong safety, and he'll buzz forward into a short zone. And then the next play, he'll be a traditional deep cover 3 safety, which I think is his best role, is playing that center field spot in the cover 3 scheme. But when you think of traditional cover 3 defenses, because Hafley loves to play a lot of cover 3, the best cover 3 safety that most people think of is Earl Thomas. And he would just every play that deep middle third. And he would just play center field. And he would get 8 picks a year because he played that spot on almost every single down. And that freed up Cam Chancellor to come play strong safety up in the box and be where he was really good. The cool thing about McKinney is he's so good at doing all of it. Yeah, that deep middle third is probably his best role. But what's crazy is he got 8 picks last year. He doesn't even play that every snap like Earl Thomas used to because he's so good on all these versatile roles. And what that does is I think it allows the Packers to use Bullard and Williams really well together because those guys are really interesting players in the way they fit together, where Williams' strengths are Bullard's weaknesses and Bullard's strengths are Williams' weaknesses. But McKinney can do everything really, really well, so they know they have a guy who can do one of the things really well, and then whatever they're not doing with McKinney on that play, they can just fit the player whose strengths fit that role for that play. And McKinney, opens up the rest of those players in a way similar to how Parsons opens up the rest of the players on the front. And I just don't think we talk about it enough because there's not a lot of great talent in the Packers secondary. If you were just looking at their roster and their depth chart, you'd worry about it. But it never shows up on game day because I think, one, they're really well coached, but 2, McKinney covers a lot of problems for that team.
That's so true. I'm glad you shouted him out. I feel like he kind of slips into the cracks sometimes, especially with his cool sleeves he wears. He's just a cool Packer. Such a likable
really
guy.
is. Yeah, I love him.
But yeah, maybe that's why we didn't see pretty much at all the Lions throw it deep over the middle. It's because he's just always lurking back there, but they've got to go short and underneath because of the pressure. But also, like Dad has said, he pointed it out when we were rumored to be going after Parsons. He's like, just think about it. If we had Micah Parsons on the front line, Cooper over the middle, and McKinney behind him, a superstar at all three tiers,
Mm-hmm.
that's all you need to be a Super Bowl contender. Think about
Yeah.
the Eagles having Cooper DeJean in the back, having Zach Bond over the middle, Jalen Carter in the front, on top of all the other guys. But
Mhm.
that's the recipe for it right there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at the Packers' offense, comparing them to the Eagles, obviously Saquon is better than Josh Jacobs. Right now, I think Jordan Love is the better quarterback. I've changed my
Mhm.
mind a little bit on that. I think he's a better quarterback than Hurts.
Yeah.
Packers have the potential to be almost as good of an offensive line. And I
Yeah.
don't think A.J. Brown is much better than some of the guys we have. I think that's something I wanted to point out before we close. There's the top tier receivers in the league. There's
Yeah.
5 elite ones that can separate and beat any type of coverage. There's not that big of a gap between the A.J. Browns and the Romeo Dobbs in my mind. And so I think I'm kind of going back and convincing myself I think this team is a contender, and the weapons as a whole, all those receivers with Josh Jacobs, Tucker Kraft, I think they are good enough to be a Super Bowl contender.
Mm-hmm. I knew this was gonna happen, but I've talked myself into it, and I don't necessarily feel like it's a week one overreaction because we knew the team was gonna be good, and then they added Micah Parsons, and we knew like before this all started that this team like had a legit chance, and then they came out and did everything we could have asked them to do in week one. And I know there's a long season ahead. I know they haven't done anything yet. But yeah, if you're putting the Packers in the top 3 in the power rankings right now, I'm agreeing with you. I think they're there. I think the roster has everything they need, and barring injuries at key spots. And you know they get the coaching too. I feel just as good about Halfley as I do about LaFleur. They've got a
Yeah.
kicker, they've got a punter, they've got a sexy long snapper. It's exciting, man.
I'm glad you named the punter. We can't forget special teams, and he was as important as anyone in that last game. He set up
Yeah.
the near safety.
Yeah. Yeah. So my mindset going forward is I'm just going to enjoy watching this team because I love football and I love the Packers. But they have a shot. They have a shot, and these chances don't come around super often, and we know that there's a lot of really good players about to become free agents after the season, and they're probably not going to be able to keep all of them. They don't have a first round pick next year. I hope they go for it. I hope they go for it, and I hope the team is ready to try and do it this year because I think they have as good of a shot this season as they may ever have.
Yep. I think we can leave it at that. Pretty exciting. Only
Yeah.
1 week down. Tomorrow we'll see what happens.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Yeah, we're recording this Wednesday, the day before the Commanders game. Hopefully we were able to get it posted before that game, but yeah, a little context there for when you're listening.
sweet. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see
Yeah.
you next time. Have fun with the game tomorrow.
See ya.